Welcome to Senior Stay or Go TV, a show to educate, entertain, and advocate on behalf of our aging adults. We are here to provide you the best information for your quality of life.
Welcome to Senior Stay or Go TV. Today we have two guests from Belmont Village in Sabre Springs. Our first guest is Eric Irwin. He is the Community Relations Manager. Our second guest is Brad De Voe. He is the Chief Chef at Belmont Village, so he's responsible for all the good food that the residents get to enjoy. So welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So before we get started, tell us where Belmont Village of Sabre Springs
Okay,
is.
so no one knows where Sabre Springs is.
Well, we're going to find out right now. The whole world is going to find out.
It's near Poway. It's off the 15 freeway and Poway Road. We're right in between the Ted Williams or the 56 and the 15.
We're in San Diego first.
We're in San Diego, California.
Okay.
And then we're off the 15 freeway, the 56. We're in between Poway Road and Sabre Springs Parkway, so in that little corner.
It's a fabulous location. How many acres?
So we're on 5 acres total, and so got a lot of walking area, a lot of outdoor area, putting green, gardening areas, beautiful views because we're out kind of east of the 15, so there's beautiful Southern California days, and like today is just absolutely gorgeous.
Fantastic. No, I'm going to switch over here for a second because we want to really talk about this gentleman and what he's doing, because we know that what is the number one thing people ask about when they think about moving to a senior community is the food. So Bradley, thank you. First of all, we understand you had how many years in the military?
26 years in the military.
26 years in the Navy.
Yes, sir.
And we thank you for your service, and thank you very, very
pleasure.
much. So tell us how you transitioned, how you got to where you are today working with this guy.
How you got the lucky honor.
Yeah. What was your background? Obviously you cooked in the Navy.
I was a cook in the Navy. I had various commands. I had 7 sea commands, 3 shore commands, 1 boots on tour in Iraq, a boots on ground tour in Iraq. My last job, I was senior enlisted for the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier. I was the food service senior enlisted, and I ran a department of 64 cooks, 128 food service attendants.
Wow.
And
You were in charge of 64 cooks?
Wow.
Yes.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Well, there were 7 dining facilities. There were 7
On the ship?
throughout the facility, yeah. Throughout the ship.
Wow.
Wow, so you really have had experience in putting out meals.
Yeah. So,
But have you always had a love for cooking, or?
I have. Since I was young, I love to eat. I love food. So it just was kind of natural. I cooked a lot with my mom and my grandparents. So.
My hat's off to you. My dinner parties, if they go beyond 10, I'm toast. So.
So so I retired from the Navy in 2010, and then after I retired, I went to the Arts Institute, got a culinary degree to back up my military experience, and I found a position here at Belmont Village. It was a sous chef position, and did that for about 1.5 years, and the chef position opened up, and here I am.
So tell us a little bit about because it's fascinating. Obviously, you're transitioning from serving military, a bunch of 18-year-old, 19-year-olds, to an average age that's a little higher.
Right.
What is that? Give us a little bit.
Pickier.
No salt, please.
Well, it was a lot of difference. Serving the military, it was more kind of high school cafeteria or just cafeteria style dining, where restaurant and Belmont Village, it's more a la carte and actually line service, where you're actually setting up plates on the line. Where in the military, the sailor would come by and mashed potatoes, gravy, and just down the line. So you're actually
still nutritious.
Still nutritious, still very good food. Navy is the best food. So, but at Belmont Village, it's, you know, you try and set up the plates nicely, you know, presentable. You know, make sure the food is hot, you know, just like we did in the military. But
And you still offer a lot of options.
yes, we offer 26 different items, 4 different salads. We have a daily lunch special, a daily dinner special, 3 or 4 varieties of sandwiches, a fish of the day, pasta of the day, and turkey chili for, you know, an option, healthy choice option.
And just so you know, I've gained 30 pounds since I've worked there the last 10 years. So the food is amazing. I put on a little too much.
Well, actually,
Thanks,
because
Brad.
I saw your baseball picture. So I was
Yeah, I was a little thinner then, and you know, not as good as I once was, but you know.
the Padres could use.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you have, so my parents lived in a senior community, they lived in independent living, they lived in assisted living, and then my mom was in memory care where at that point she just ate whatever was put in front of her, unfortunately. But my dad always complained because it wasn't my mom's cooking.
Right.
Yep.
So we'd go to lunch or dinner and he'd say, okay, let's see if they're serving hockey pucks today.
Yeah.
Those were hamburgers. It's like, no, they're not really hockey pucks. They're not that bad. But it wasn't my mom's cooking.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you do when people say that or come to you and say, can you make something like my wife made it?
Actually, you know, ask for a recipe, and then, you know.
So you will give it a go. You'll try.
Yeah, we actually have a locally designated meal once a month, and so they have meet the chef meetings, and so those are times when, you know, they say the asparagus is too soft, or the, you know, because everyone likes their vegetables different.
Oh,
Those are
yeah.
the types of things that are more, you know, just what people prefer, but they can give our chefs recipes we have throughout the years.
Oh, that's neat.
You know, given, you know, lasagna, you know, our Italian residents, I'll say, you don't make the sauce, you know, it's not homemade. So, you know, so those types of things, which are great. And so throughout the years, I've noticed that our families bring family recipes and will allow us to make those for them. And,
Oh, good.
And but Chef does a great job of listening to the residents. Usually, you know, at any community, the #1 issue is food.
Yep.
Well, the great thing about Belmont Village, Patricia Will, when she started our company, and you have met Patricia.
Yep.
Yeah, she's been on the
When
show.
she started our company, she knew that probably the biggest issue with her own family was food. So that's why she's always designed Belmont Village to have 26 different choices. Not only is it healthy, it gives a lot of options for people who like to have a vegetarian meal. They can do that because they can pick those items.
Or gluten-free.
Or gluten-free, those types of things. So, and as our society kind of moves that direction, you know, you have heart-healthy diets, you have diabetic diets. We actually do sliding scale diabetic injections and those types of things in our community, so we need to have a healthy diabetic diet. So we actually have an award from the Diabetes Center for Excellence for diabetes care, and so those are some of the neat things that they have to manage daily with you know, chefs and staff and families. So it's not just families, it's staff members, it's everyone, you know, kind of tugging at them and saying, hey, can you make it this way, can you make it that way? Especially, you know, like the petite filet, we do those daily.
Wow.
They might want them cooked medium. They might. So it's not just preparing meals; it's preparing it for the individual. And you know, as our society ages, we want to bring that. We want to bring that customer service. We want them to enjoy every meal. Usually and typically, the biggest part of their day socially is mealtime. And so, if they don't like the food,
They're not
then
gonna
they're
come
going to
out.
stay in their apartment all day. And so we do 120 different activities a month, which are great. But the bulk of socialization happens either at breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And a lot of the war stories, a lot of the things that they talk about.
Literal war stories.
Literal war stories from World War II and Korea and those types of things take part. Then we learn so much about our residents having a meal with them. And so.
And do you make lunch like your bigger meal and dinner a little lighter, or does it,
Lunch and
because there's so
dinner-
many choices, doesn't it matter?
Lunch and dinner is pretty much the same type of meal. It's you know, a starch, protein, 2 vegetables, and a dessert, soup.
Or if somebody just wanted a big salad, they
but
can have a
yeah,
big salad.
So yeah, so and that's, you know, at lunch and dinner they can have a salad, soup, anything they really want typically.
Because we have residents that want a bigger lunch, and we have residents that want a smaller dinner or vice versa. We have residents that don't want breakfast. They have residents that do. We include all 3 meals so that they can choose what they want when they want and how big or small of a portion that they want.
And you mentioned that meals is like the social event of the day. So do you allow them to bring meals back to their apartments, or do you discourage that?
No, we encourage it. They'll come, sorry if I'm stepping on your toes here, but they'll come, and actually some residents, if they're not feeling well or different things, they'll either come order, or we'll have our caregivers, we call them PALs, personal assistant liaisons. They'll come and order for the resident, and we can take it back to their apartment. We do half portions typically, you know, they're not gonna eat as much as I am, typically. So they're typically smaller portions. They can ask for more, but even with those smaller portions, a lot of residents take them. But the reason why we want to encourage that is for those residents that typically come to us, they're usually a little malnourished or undernourished. They typically lost, you know, the families will say, my mom is about 25, 30 pounds under the weight that she needs to be. So what we generally see is when they come and move in, they usually gain about 15
That's good.
to 20 pounds, those that are under, you know, underweight. But then we have the healthy diets too for those that are over that weight. But you know, it's where I've lived in Texas and I've lived here. I've served in senior living communities in Texas and I've served them here. The Southern California population are generally, they like their salads, their fish, their lean meats, those types of things. So we don't see as many cases of like diabetes and things as we would, you know, other places that may have, you know, more carbohydrate heavy diets, or you know, just good home style cooking, you know, chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes and gravy, right? So, but we offer all that. I mean, so if they want that, they can have it.
I just have to ask, I'm going on a different direction here. Going back to the NIM, I'm just like, my mind is going to the NIMs. How many pounds of whatever, mashed potatoes, would be served?
After a deployment, we would make this little spreadsheet. Obviously, we keep records during the whole deployment, and there'd always it was like a little fact sheet of how many pounds of potatoes that we used during that 6-month deployment, or how many dozens of eggs or gallons of milk, and it's I can't remember what they were, but I mean, they were astronomical amounts of food. And if you could ever see a replenishment and see how we get food on board to replenish our stores, it is just, it's one of the reasons we won World War II, is how we replenish at sea. So it's just amazing. A ship comes alongside, they span wires across, and it's amazing. It's just,
it's going to be drones, I guess, in the next generation.
Well, and then at the same time, they had helicopters dropping them off up on the flight deck, pallets off on the flight deck as well. So,
wow,
that's amazing.
So, have you seen many? You've been at Belmont for how long, Eric?
I've been there almost 10 years. So,
have you seen a change in the food prep, the food dynamics?
You know, since I've been there, we've pretty much had that same 26 different choices. We've had those different things. What I've seen is a difference in clientele.
Right.
Requests and things.
Are.
So we just move with that. When you have a large menu, it makes you're a lot more nimble with the food choices. You know, if you're a typical community that's going to serve 2 options and you have an alternate, you're going to have a hard time for people who have specialized diets. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, those are the things that are tough. One thing I have seen is as our population has aged, and we see more memory loss and Parkinson's and those types of things. A lot of times with Parkinson's, they get to where they can't swallow well. Those mm-hmm. things. We've seen an increase in puree diets. So those types of diets, which is tough on the staff because you know, you're making all these meals and then you have to make a puree diet and you have to make it taste good. And so you don't want to just take, you know, I was a youth pastor for 4 years before I did this, and we used to do this thing called the Happy Shake, and we would take a whole Happy Meal, dump it in the blender, and here you go. They don't do that. So those are some of the neat things that they do at Belmont Village, but those are the things that I've seen, just incremental changes, because it's easier to tweak something than it is to just start all over. And a lot of places have actually had to start all over with their dining, but on all of our surveys, usually the #1 thing that people say is they love the food.
That's awesome.
Congratulations on that, because the hardest crowd to please.
Absolutely.
I mean, anybody
Yeah.
is the hardest crowd to please, especially somebody who's maybe over the age of 75, who has lost their taste buds, who can't, and they're going, I don't taste anything, and you're going, but I've just poured a whole bunch of sauce on the thing.
Well, and they take a lot of medications that numb their taste buds, or
right.
things don't taste the same as they used to, and so you see that a lot too. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Patti just introduced me to Hatch Chilies last past week, so there you go. If you
From New Mexico? I'm
Yeah.
from New Mexico.
Oh, well, there you go.
So
you know
just a
Hatch Green Chilies. In fact, I was out
season.
here, and I don't know if I can make a plug for Whole Foods, but in Encinitas, they had about 2 years.
Whole Foods in Encinitas is gone, but anyway,
Is
make
it
the
gone
plug
now?
for
Then
Whole
I
Foods.
then I can tell you they're Amazon now, I guess. But they were out there and they were roasting the chilies. And so if you ever have a chance and you see a roaster and they have that
best smell in the world.
and then go make your enchiladas, because it is phenomenal. In fact, I made Chef some enchiladas.
Yes, you did.
I made them. They were my Americanized enchiladas, but
They were good.
So in terms of, is anybody living at Belmont Village somebody you served with? I just
No.
That would be that would be a small
When I
world
first
story.
started working there was a cook that was on the Nimitz with me.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And he worked there about 6 months and then left.
But there's
went
no
somewhere.
resident of Belmont
Right,
that you served
none
with.
that I do it. But the key to the whole thing is you've got to get out, spend time with the residents, talk to them.
Good for you.
You know, and they'll tell you what they like, what they don't like.
Oh, they'll
and,
tell you.
You know,
There's not many filters.
I like my pasta al dente. It's okay. So, and you know, they're just wonderful people. They remind me of my grandparents. I spent summers with my grandparents, both sets. My mom's parents when I was
Now,
young,
what nationality
younger.
are you?
I'm French Canadian.
French Canadian.
So I'm just.
French chef, there you go.
French chef, yeah.
And then my dad's parents, as I got older, I farmed for them, baling hay and stuff like that. And you know, my grandparents or my grandmothers were wonderful cooks, and I just loved their food, and I like, you know, working with them and spent, you know, just lots of time with them. So, and I miss them, you know, and this
Good
kind
for
of brings
you.
back.
Well, that's cool. That you
You
can
know.
tell your passion for that.
You know.
Do you have any requests for matzo brie?
Nope.
No, really?
Nope.
Because I know you got a pretty good Jewish population there.
We do some matzo ball soup.
Okay.
Yeah, we do gefilte fish.
Oh.
We get, you know, we do the Yom Kippur.
Nobody likes
We
it.
do all
I
the
like
Passover.
it, but nobody else likes it.
You know,
I love it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so good.
We got Rosh Hashanah dinner coming up.
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
27th, so,
definitely. Well, matzo brie is matzah and scrambled eggs, so
Oh.
and it's, you know, then you put applesauce and sour cream on it. There you go. There's for all your
Bagels and lox, we're ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. Well, Eric, Bradley, thank you guys so much for being here. Patti, any?
No, thank you very much. It's always good to know that not everybody serves hockey pucks for hamburgers.
Well, Belmont Village, Sabre Springs, if you don't know where it is, you do now know where it is. And please reach out to these guys if you have any concerns about your parents, mom or dad. And you don't have to live in that area. You could be in Chicago right now or someplace that maybe you don't want to be in anymore due to weather. And come out to San Diego. It's about 75, 340 days out of the year.
And we do have 26 different properties
20, that's
around
right.
the United States. We do have 4 in Chicago.
And Texas.
And we just opened one in Mexico City.
So reach out to these guys. They do a phenomenal job. Their CEO is one of the best, is the best of the best. And she's a leader in the industry. So Eric, Bradley, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Keep up the good work. And again, thank you for your service.
You're very welcome.
You are to be honored and treasured, believe me. And stay tuned for more Senior Stay or Go TV.